It's Wednesday, the 1st of April 2026. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's get cracking. Story number 1, Sydney and Melbourne house prices have gone backwards so far in 2026, with more expensive homes falling most. Meanwhile, Perth and Brisbane prices charge ahead, while regional Australia outperforms the capital cities.
Across the country, Cotality's National Home Value Index rose 0.7% for March. That's 2.1% over the first quarter of the year. At the national level, that's a slowdown from the December quarter, but the full story is very specific to individual geographies. The country's 2 biggest cities, Sydney and Melbourne, they're feeling the pain most. Melbourne prices fell 0.6% during the quarter. They're off nearly 1% since the high of late last year. Sydney's about 0.2% for the quarter, off about almost 0.5% since its high last year. In both cities, it's been a story not so much about interest rates, but about supply. All these homes are coming onto the market. That, according to Cotality's research director, Tim Lawless, means people have more choice, less urgency to buy anytime they need to, anytime they have to. So it's just a better deal for buyers at the moment.
Okay, among the mid-sized capitals, Perth continues to boom. We need to talk about Perth because its median dwelling value jumped more than 7% during the March quarter alone, 24% over the past year. Surely this is not sustainable, is it?
Well, Tim Lawless says no. The 7% jump's worth about $69,000. That's unsustainable if that's going to happen every quarter. It is being supported in Perth by low supply. So Sydney and Melbourne, more homes coming on the market. Not the case in Perth. Brisbane's also doing very well, 5% for the quarter, nearly 20% for the past year. Adelaide, Darwin, Hobart, all strong. The other trend you mentioned, Michael, strength in the bottom end of the market. You see that mostly in Sydney. The low quartile house prices, so the bottom 25%, they're up 2% in the March quarter. The top 25%, they're down 2%.
Wow. Okay, moving on to story number 2 now, Sean. The Fair Work Commission has abolished junior rates in fast food, retail and pharmacies, and that means that 18 to 20-year-olds will now be paid the full adult rate, pushing up the wages bill of some of the country's biggest employers.
More than 500,000 young workers will receive pay rises of up to 42%. The new rates will be phased in over a 4-year period from December. So you think big supermarkets, Woolies, Coles, McDonald's, Domino's, those fast food giants, they're all going to feel this. Currently, an 18-year-old's paid 70% of an adult wage, 19-year-olds 80%, 20-year-olds 90%. They'll all go to that 100% level. The union involved, the Shop Distributive and Allied Employees Association, argued that many young workers started when they were 15 and 16, so they should be paid like adults.
Story number 3, surcharges on debit and credit cards will be banned, and the cap on credit card interchange fees, which is the fee that's paid by merchants to banks, will be reduced from 0.8% to 0.3% of the value of the transaction from 1 October. Banks expect the changes could cut their revenues by $660 million a year. Following months of discussions, the Reserve Bank has put aside the concerns from major banks and small businesses to proceed with cutting the transaction fees from October. However, the RBA has maintained the existing cap for commercial cards.
So the Reserve Bank says it's just more transparent. Banks have argued the lower cap will force them to increase credit card interest rates, lift fees, dilute the value of frequent flyer points attached to credit card purchases. But that's what the Reserve Bank's talking about. People shouldn't be subsidising those sorts of products. So it wants really transparent credit card market. About $1.6 billion in card payment surcharges each year. That'll be saved by consumers, though it may ultimately be recouped via higher prices, which would push up inflation ever so slightly.
Story number 4, Telstra will be forced to remove a 1 million square kilometre area from maps promoting its mobile phone coverage after the federal government set a limit on the signal strength that companies can claim works for calls and texts. After rivals Optus and TPG Telecom, which owns Vodafone, raised doubts about Telstra's expansive coverage claims in regional Australia, Communications Minister Annika Wells asked the regulator to set an industry standard that would be reflected on these maps.
So from June 30, telcos will have to publish maps showing their 4G, 5G signal. It'll be good, moderate, basic, no coverage, according to Suri in the Fin review. The cut-off signal strength for no coverage has been the subject of a fierce dispute. between Telstra and its rivals. Under the final decision, Telstra will have to remove an area the size of New South Wales from its so-called coverage area. Telstra, of course, is by far the biggest mobile coverage area. 99.7 Australians, it says, are covered by its mobile network. Now, story number 5, Michael, I'm going to introduce it because it's your story. We are getting our first trip to the moon, first time in 53 years. The Space Launch System Artemis 2 set to blast off. Is it tonight, later on, Michael?
It should be tonight. Fingers crossed it happens tonight, Sean. There will be 3 Americans and 1 Canadian on board. Since the Apollo era ended in 1972, humans haven't gone near the moon. Artemis 2 will hopefully change that. We're not going to be seeing a moon landing happening. That will come later, I think. The US wants to be on the moon by 2028, China by 2030. So there's a bit of a space race going on. This one's just a flyby, travel them out around the moon and back again. It's a 10-day mission. They'll splash down in the ocean. The blast off is Wednesday evening US time, Thursday overnight for us. So hopefully within the next 24 hours, we'll be seeing this happen. If the weather's bad, there'll be more opportunities in coming days. The first 6 days of April are all pretty good. Should have happened back in February. There's been a few technical problems, but fingers crossed, everything all smooth now for a successful launch. I'm very excited, Sean.
You won't get much sleep in the next few days, Michael.
I shall not. And there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Wednesday, the 1st of April, 2026. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.